Okay, so thank you for allowing me to do this. I'm going to jump right in. I have some, well, there's some bad news here. There's not much you're going to be able to do because SEO has a lot to do with content, has a lot to do with um, site structure, has a lot to do with web performance, and you don't own therealty.com, I don't think. Um, Let me double check. Yeah, so I think this is like a therealty.com is an agency for multiple people, and you're, one agent within that company. So there's really not a lot you can do that on page SEO. There's some off page SEO things you can do, specifically Google My Business, which I'm going to go over. So what I'm going to go over here, I'm really going to give you like a good course in SEO, and I would suggest getting with a WordPress developer and just creating your own site, because this should be just one citation. Citation meaning an external directory you're listed in, like, realtors.com or any place that lists realtors. This should be just one of them, and they should all link back to your homepage, right? So, you have to, I mean, you could create a web page. It's not that hard using WordPress. It's actually pretty easy. But if I'm not a developer, but I have a guy that I work with that's a developer. So if you're interested in that, let me know. And I'll go through, I'll explain all this as I go along, but there's unfortunately not going to be a lot we can do here. Okay, these are just notes to me here. Well, let me start here. So be patient. When you make changes, things can take, when you start optimizing things, Google doesn't pick them up right away. It's going to take weeks and weeks, sometimes months for Google to pick up what's going on. And then nobody really knows the algorithm, right? That's inside Google. But we have best practices. We know what works, but nobody really knows how it all ties together. Then don't get overwhelmed. Oh, this is a lot of stuff. So what I'm including here, this sounds kind of like cheesy, not cheesy, but sounds kind of elementary. I'm including a lot of interesting guides for you here. Prioritization matrix. If you do decide to knock this stuff out, not now because you can't do it with your website, unless you do own that domain, which I don't think you do. If you do, let me know and I'll redo this again for free. But once you start doing it, this is how you break things down. Low benefit, high difficulty, high benefit, low difficulty, and just then prioritize them over here, right? That sounds really elementary. It sounds like something you do in like Business 101, but it really does help because SEO is a really complex topic. So I'm going to put that in there. I think there's one other thing I wanted to show you in here. Okay, that's Google My Business stuff. If you want to understand what Google is looking at for SEO purposes, this is the guidelines they give to their raters. Like they have thousands and thousands, I would think it's thousands and thousands of humans that rate search results. And this is what those people are looking for in web results. So if you really want to get in detail and find out what's going on, you can read through this. It's a long read, but it's not, I mean, you don't got to sit there and read it word by word. You could sit down, it's 172 pages. You could sit down probably for 30 minutes to 45 minutes and get an idea of what's going on. But I'm going to go through a lot of it at a high level and then in a lot more detail level as we go along. So this is going to be more like a course for you to understand. So if you decide to create your website and perhaps hire somebody to do SEO work, you'll kind of know what to look for and know if they're doing the right thing. And then steady and consistent wins. That basically means if you do a lot of work and then drop off for 6 months, and then do a lot of work and then drop off for 9 months, Google doesn't really like that. So if you're creating content, you want to do it regularly. Once a week, once every month, whatever you can do. Because websites have something called geographical authority from a search engine perspective and topical authority. So geographical authority is how relevant or how much of an authority are you in the region. So in Houston, Texas, how authoritative is your website? Right, and that's based on where you mention in other places on the web. How many directories are you in? What are your reviews like on Google My Business? Or it's called Google Business Profile now, I think. I haven't got used to saying that yet. So that's are you doing fundraisers locally? So all this kind of stuff plays into your geographical authority. Now the topical authority is how much of an expert are you in what you're doing. So what you want to generally, how you build that up is you create a lot of content. A lot of good content related to real estate stuff. Could be checklists, could be calculators, could be guides on, how to buy a home without a real estate agent. That might sound counterintuitive, but what happens is most people read through it, then decide they need a real estate agent. So why that's important is if you get a lot of good traffic to your website on the topic that you're selling, on the service that you're selling, Google's going to start to realize that you are an expert in that topic and start linking you, start showing you at the top of the results when people search for like hire real estate agent Texas or Houston, Texas and surrounding areas. And by the way, I went to Clear Lake High School, so I'm familiar with the area. Let me go check something here real quick. And we'll go over all this. Like Houston, yeah, see Clear Lake's marked out, which is ironic considering that's where I went to high school. But anyway, okay, so you didn't know what an impression is, what a sitemap was, and what a backlink is. I just asked these questions so I can get a good idea of the education level, or from not education level, of the familiarity level. Is that even a word? Familiarity level that somebody has with SEO. So an impression, these are terms you're going to hear a lot. So let me just explain them real quick. So real estate agent Houston. This is an impression. So this result, if they look at their Google Search Console, which is a dashboard for Google search, so that's what you want to make sure you're in Google Search Console. This result got an impression, this result got an impression, this result got an impression. It just means it showed up in the, your website showed up in the search results for a keyword search for real estate agent Houston. That's what an impression is. Let me see if I got what else to do. Okay, and then if somebody clicks on it, then that you could call that like a conversion, or just a click, right? And the number of clicks you get per 100 is called a click-through rate. So these are just things that you'll hear about and you need to understand. Sitemap. So all a sitemap is, all it is, and these aren't as important as they once were, it's an index to show it's a map for Google for Googlebot, the Google search engine indexer. So these are all my posts, index these. So, and again, this is something you don't control, I don't think. So this is out of your control. So you can see here, there's no sitemap. Now, it's not a huge deal anymore because what Google will do, it's bot, it's indexing bot. It'll click, it'll see all these links, and let me see. Let me go to the bottom again. Okay. Well, what it'll do, I thought I saw a blog. Anyway, so it'll click on this link, and then it'll index that, and it'll go to this next page and look for links and index that. But that sitemap really helps Google do this a lot quicker because you don't want to. There's something called crawl budget. Let me mute my phone. Hold on one second. Sorry about this. Okay, there's something called crawl budget. You want to be able to tell Google exactly what to index. You don't want it spending time indexing your website, trying to find stuff, because that could slow your website down, right? Depending on the resources you have for your hosting provider. And then a backlink. So a backlink is a signal to Google that your website is good. So what that means, let me do this. I'm going to pause it real quick. Okay, this is Ahrefs. I'm going to go over it a bit later. It's really the main tool that I use. It's expensive. It's like $90 a month, but I do a group buy, so it costs me like $10 a month. If you're interested in that, let me know. Well, you can just go here, supremeseo.com, and do it. So, and you don't get all the features like the audit and all that stuff, but I get everything I need. So this is just IBM.com. So just out of curiosity, let's go look at their top pages. So these are the top pages on their domain, IBM.com. So it's probably going to be product pages, probably maybe some blog posts. And I used to work for IBM many moons ago, so it's interesting seeing how it's all evolving. So this is a downside of getting a group buy. It can be slow at times. Usually it's not this slow. Okay, there we go. So the most traffic they get to any link on their website, let me do one that's just shorter, is this, whatever this is. But it looks really ugly. So let's just go to this, what is blockchain? They're getting a lot of traffic to blockchain stuff. So let's just search this out. And there's a reason I'm showing you this, and you'll understand. I'm going to show you how this ties into backlinks. So I'm searching on this. So if you go to backlinks here, it froze up. See if I can refresh it. Okay, I'm going to pause it. I don't want to waste your time. Be right back. Okay, something really strange is going on. It might be something buggy. I don't know. But if you click on backlinks, so what a backlink is, it's a link going to your website. So you can imagine if you write a really good piece of content on maybe the top 10, I'm going to show you how to get content ideas. The top 10 things to ask a real estate agent before doing business with them, whatever that title, the appropriate title is. You can imagine if you get a lot of links to that from if people find it useful, they're going to start sharing it around on social media, other places, message forums, Facebook groups, et cetera, et cetera. The more of those links you get to that web page, the more authoritative, the higher quality the Google search engine is going to think it is. And don't forget about the Bing search engine. Don't forget about DuckDuckGo, et cetera, et cetera. So that's a big signal to Google that that's an effective web page, a useful content piece. And content is king when it comes to SEO. It's a cheesy phrase, but it really is true. So that's what a backlink is. So now you know. Now you hopefully understand the basics of that, and we'll get into those as we go along. Okay, so this is a client I worked with. I don't work with her anymore. Packwest Real Estate, Oregon. You can see on her page, we've got it in a really good place. Because when I work with clients, I work with them for 6 months, and that's got everything going, and everything else is on autopilot. So you can see she's using good keywords. She focuses on multifamily property. So we made sure we put this up top as a in the H1 as a header, right? So this is a bold header. There's H1s, H2s, H3s, blah blah blah. Broker. She changes. I wish this said principal commercial real estate broker, but broker's way up top. Multifamily property. So there's a reason we use certain keywords in certain areas, right? Because that's the type of, if the more times this keyword's mentioned on the page and synonyms of that keyword, you can imagine the Google is going to think, okay, this keyword's pretty important to this website, right? So you can see this is really good. She offers a PDF, which is awesome. Like this is the kind of stuff that really, this is a good clickbait. How to sell your apartment for top dollar fast. This gets a lot of clicks. Then of course you'd get people on your mailing list, right? So you might think, well, the people I'm trying to reach aren't other brokers. It's possible clients, and that's true. So you should focus your site to that audience. But it doesn't matter. You still could offer stuff like this because her focus isn't. Hold on one second. I'm sorry. Okay, sorry, I lost my train of thought, and I had to pause it. So how to sell your apartment complex for top dollar. So this sounds kind of counterintuitive because it's telling somebody how not to do business with her, right? But it goes back to what I said previously. Eventually, they come do business with you. But the benefit of it, it's a click. The more clicks you get, the more higher quality Google's going to think your website is, right? So you need to get that traffic. The more traffic you get, the more traffic you get. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? The other thing she has is a really good blog. At least she did last I checked. She's kind of changed things around here a little bit. So all this establishes topical relevance. The website's kind of slow for some reason, so this last one is in June. Interesting. She hasn't wrote anything in a while. She used to do stuff like once every couple of weeks. So you can see this stuff is really good. This is what's going to drive traffic to your website, right? This is all good. And then, of course, you upsell, or I should say this is called a call to action. So this is any time you have a blog post, you always want to put a call to action to your services within that content. You don't want it just to be content. Because a lot of times you can imagine searching for something and you'll read it and you'll never really look at what this is about. But if you read through it, you might see, oh, I can actually contact this person, right? So it gives Google context to what's going on, the search engine, the algorithms, but it's also good to always give a call to action to people visiting your website. Now, I would have put it up here too, like right here. Also, you can see here, there's a thing called EAT, Expertise, Authority, Trust, which Google ruled out about a year ago. Well, what that means is Google's going to has started giving a ranking boost to results that are content and websites created by people it thinks are authoritative. It did this when COVID started. Well, I don't know if it did when COVID started, but around there because there was a lot of, let's say, controversial COVID information being given out, right? So the more your name is found around the web, Renee Nelson, her name, for example, Google is going to start to understand that this person is an authority in commercial real estate. So you're going to get a boost there. So expertise is you're an expert. Authoritative is, are you authoritative? And trust. So how trustworthy does Google think your content is and the author. So you always want to include your name on all your content pieces than any place else on the web, specifically commercial real estate. I'm sorry, in your case, just real estate message forums, Facebook groups. You want to get your name out there as much as possible. So you can see SEO is a lot of on-page stuff, which you can't do, but it's a lot of off-page stuff to do. There's a lot of off-page stuff you can do as well. And unless you get a new website created, I think the guy I work with, I think he charges like $1,000. I don't know what your financial situation is, but that's actually pretty good. He's in the United Arab Emirates, but then a lot of people kind of like want to work with an American because of language barrier. He speaks perfect English. You hire somebody like somebody that lives in Chicago or Omaha or whatever, you're going to pay probably like $5,000-$10,000. So if you want that, I don't get any money by referring you to him. But if you want that, let me know and I can set you up. He's just a good guy. He's easy to work with. Yeah, so that's that. And if you don't do any of this stuff, a lot of this off-page stuff is going to help, but it's really not going to boost you that much. So let's go back to your website. So you can see where to go. Okay, that's one of your competitors. And the reason they're ranking high is just because they're established names, these competitors that you gave me. Let me go back. Oh, wait. Oh, there it is. Okay. My bad. Let me go here. Let's get that back up. Okay, so you can see here, all you really have, you have this profile, which is good. You would definitely need to optimize it with the keywords you gave me, meaning, and that there's a reason I ask all these questions. Highly rated realtor, Vietnamese realtor, experienced broker, commercial broker. Since you can't do much, these are things you definitely want to fit in here. And I know you do mention Vietnamese realtor here. I don't know if you mentioned the other ones or not. Okay, maybe you did. But I'm giving you an understanding of how all this ties together. But see, this is just reviews, which are good, but it's not enough to bump you up in the rankings. You really do need a dedicated web page, right? And then you would link to this from your web page, as I mentioned earlier. So let's continue. Okay, the inclusions are basically what I showed you here. So this is like how to use Google Ads, which is really good. You just need to know what you're doing, that stuff. If you want to get into how I have videos for a lot of this stuff I'm going to go over to, like on YouTube. If you want those, let me know. I can send them to you. I could go on for 12 hours here, so I don't want to give you every little detail. If there's any questions you have, just follow up with me. If there's a topic I go over you want more information on, send me a message. I don't mind doing another video talking with you on the phone or just answering, questions tomorrow or next month or next year. I have a lot of clients I've worked with that, just did a one-time audit. I didn't work with them on doing any monthly work, and they like 3 years ago, and they're still asking me questions, to this day, and that's totally fine. That's totally fine. So at a minimum, you're going to get some almost like a consultant out of this. For free, right? So hopefully that's worth something. Okay, qualify and conquer. This is my content creation process, and it's still in draft. I really need to finalize it, but we'll go over all this once we get to the content section. It's kind of convoluted just because I haven't had a chance to really optimize it because life is busy. Okay, so we'll get rid of these. Now, one person I would follow immediately on YouTube, he's probably the best marketing real estate person on YouTube. He gets it's a lot of marketing stuff, but it's like best script and follow-up. That's really good information. Profit time stress, do this every year. Let's see, how to choose a real estate brokerage. And these are good ways to get content ideas too. Like you could type on real estate and find videos that are trending, then you could create content based on those. That's also how you would create YouTube videos. And if you could localize them to Houston or to Texas, then you'd get that localization bump as well. So you can see what actually I haven't looked at them in a while because I'm not doing this. How to close more leads. So this is all really good stuff. I don't see it here, but he gets a lot into like Twitter and Facebook. See, TikTok. TikTok's a huge thing. So I would just follow this guy here. Well, I follow him, but I don't have the alarm turned on. I would just yeah, I don't have the alarm turned on. That's one guy. I mean, there's 8 million people you could follow, but if I could follow one guy as a real estate person, that would be the one guy I follow. Another problem you have, and I don't believe... Let me get a sip of water. One moment, please. Okay. In Google Search Console, and I'm kind of not trying not to talk too advanced. I'm trying to, because based on those 2 questions, I don't think you're really familiar with this stuff, which is fine. Like I know nothing about real estate, but hopefully I'm not talking too elementary or too technical, I guess I should say. So in Google Search Console, which is the, let me just show you this, since it's a dashboard for Google Search. This is where you can kind of see what errors does Google think you have, what security problems, so coverage, so performance. So these are the amount of clicks you get, and these are the top queries going into the web page. This is a guy I worked with in Germany a while back. I don't do anything with them anymore, but you get the idea. So it's like a dashboard. So where was I going with that? Okay, so you can see, here we go. It's for, let me do this, competing governments. Let's not do that because there's nothing there. Cyberwonka.com. So you can see at cyberwonka.com. Yours is trendnewin.realty.com. So this is probably what's called the Google Search Console property, and this is just what's called a subdomain of this property, right? So if you had your own Google Search property, it would be all of this. So here's why that's important. Anytime somebody comes here, this main domain is getting the juice, getting the benefit largely. If you had your own property, Google Search, so in this case, so trendnewinrealty.com, so this would be trendnewinrealty.com, not just realty.com. You would get specifically the benefit of all that traffic that comes to that subdomain. So that's a problem you have, and I don't think you can get around that without having your own domain, like, you know, Trend to Win Real Estate or something similar to that. So that's a problem. So content. So this, I kind of explained to you why content's important. Let me just go over this document and just read through it. It's a lot. It's a lot to absorb. Let me turn on. And again, this isn't something I'm going to spend a lot of time on, even though I could. Where'd it go? Because I don't want to waste too much of your time. Like I said, if you want me to go into a very detailed process of this, I certainly can. Just let me know. So, did I open it? Okay. Understanding most people, okay, but topics are keywords. Okay, so Google takes your entire site into account. It's not just what's on your homepage. It's all your content. If you have a lot of content that nobody's going to, you want to purge that content, right? Because Google's going to think your website isn't that useful. So here's some more tips. So how do you get content ideas? The one place I like to go the most, two places. I like to go to Answer the Public, so you could search for real estate. So this is like going to Google. Whoops. It's hung up. Let's see. Okay. Real estate. So see how this is auto-suggesting stuff? This is things people are searching on based on this seed word, or you could say keyword, I suppose. So real estate. And these are good content ideas because these are things related to this topic. Are these questions? This is called People Also Ask. Where'd it go? Here. What exactly is real estate? How much is realtor make in Louisiana? So this is all kinds of good stuff. Now there's scrapers that can get a ton of these questions for you. So based on this, and you could also do space, and you could see what else is after. So maybe you want to do something about a license. Do license and do space and see what pops up. Louisiana. So Ontario, look up. So how do you look up a real estate license in Houston? I don't know if that's good, but you get the idea. You can also use this Uber Suggest, which shows you some good keywords over here. And the longer they are, the more niche they are, the better. Those are called long tail keywords. It's going to be really hard to rank for real estate. It's going to be easier to rank for real estate Houston or real estate Texas. It's going to be even easier to rank for real estate Houston, Texas, and it's going to be even easier to rank for residential real estate Houston, Texas, and even easier to rank for apartment residential real estate Houston, Texas. Hopefully you get the idea. But this is a pain in the butt, right? Who wants to do all this? Let me turn on keywords everywhere too, which is another good extension. So these are free. So this is keywords everywhere. This is SEO Quake. And you can pay for keywords everywhere, and I do have a paid membership, but you get a lot of this stuff for free. So you can see all these good questions, right? So, but that's a pain in the butt. So what you want to do is go to Answer the Public. And let's type in real estate. So just like I showed you in the Google search bar, I don't know my computer's so slow, real estate, right? So this is going to go and find out what questions people, this is coming from Google using the Google API. So these are questions people are actually asking. So these are good content ideas. How real estate works in India, how real estate agent, whoa, what happened here? Okay. One second, let me get this back to a sane viewing level. Okay, how real estate works, which real estate agency to join is the most accurate, what real estate license should I get? So let's say that sounds like a good idea. So next what you want to do is, let's look at the top results. And I'm waiting for my little, okay, so are the top results. So anytime you want to write a content piece, you want to see what the top results are and kind of combine those into a better piece of content. But you want to mimic them. Do they have videos? What are their H1s, their headings, their H2s? You know what I mean? What keywords are they using? And there's tools to do all this. But let's also look at their domain authority. So this is between 1 and 100. This isn't a Google ranking, but it gives you a good understanding of how like authoritative the ice shop is or the C shop is. So 46, that's kind of low. That's not, 100. 50 is somewhat low. 22 is low. 22 is low. So the reason we're doing this is the top results. If the top results are like 92, 73, 83, 75, 82, 92, whatever, really high, you're going to have a hard time outranking those because already the results, the top results are coming from very, very popular websites. This is actually pretty good. This is 22, so to get into the 1, 2, 3, even the third spot has a domain authority of 22. So this is something I would write a content piece on, right? And then what you can do, well, I don't want, you can use a tool called like Through to get like common keywords, common titles, common subjects, and then you want to build your content around that. I'm not going to get too much into that. And then you could even go into like, I have a video on all this stuff, the Google AI NLP tool, and based on the content, these are, let me just go into this one. Let me just give you a basic understanding of this content piece, right? So you could go here. And it's pretty short. Generally, you want this to be a little longer. Let me go to the second one. So you want to look at the length of the top results. Let's do this. And if the question isn't answered at all, then that's something you want to write about, obviously, right? So how I would write this would be, I don't remember what the question was. Okay, which real estate license should I get in Houston, Texas? Or Texas. Very geo-specific. So you go here. So there's a tool, SEO Quake. You go here and you go to page info. And you can see this is the meta description. So that's the words that show up under the Google search result. And these are the common keywords: estate, real estate, that's pretty obvious. Real estate, estate agent, real estate, Louis. So you can see they're using the state a lot, so that's good. Real estate agent, Louisiana real estate, real estate. Okay, so these are all pretty common. Nothing really. So this is kind of a bad example. But another thing I like to do, like I said, this is, if you want some more specific detail on this, I'll definitely give it to you. I just don't want to waste your time. So there's another tool you can use called Text Optimizer, which is free. There's a paid version. And it uses AI. Unable to retrieve text. Okay, there we go. AI meaning artificial intelligence. Based on this content piece, these are keywords that are commonly used in association with these keywords. So these are keywords you'd want to get into your content piece. So when you're building a content piece, which is one of the, probably the biggest, a very, a very, what's the word? It's a high priority SEO driving factor. You want to make sure that you're using all the keywords Google's expecting. So real estate industry, so appraisal, you probably want to include appraisal in your content piece, qualifying, and you do this for the top results. Now there's tools that can automate all this. I'm giving you a manual understanding of what's going on. So that's kind of how you do it. Another great place is Quora, because these are questions people are actually asking. I love coming here. And again, whoops. Real estate's just one word. There's all kinds of like buzzwords in your industry and licensing stuff. Real estate. So you go here, and all you do is go down to questions all time. You can look through those, but what I like to do is look at ones in the past week. Because if you can write content for questions that don't have answers yet, that's the kind of stuff that's going to drive traffic. This is all good stuff, right? You can search for like buying a house or whatever, any kind, whatever you want to do. So hopefully that makes sense. Let me just scan through this real quick. You can also look in Facebook groups. There's a website called, well, you can read it, real estate. All these keywords that are coming up. These are all ones you could get with or use. Okay, let me just look through here. So these are all just different ways. Whoops. Keyword planner. Okay, I'm not going to go through all this stuff. Exploding topics, Google Trends. So what's trending on Google, right? You want to jump on topics that are increasing in search traffic. So these are just ways to get content ideas. Search intent is big. So if you don't want to write a if somebody's searching for hire real estate agent, you want to make sure you write a content piece that meets their intent. That's a transactional intent, right? Informational would be like top 10 things to ask a real estate agent. Is it answered? So this is all good. And this is kind of how to write the content piece and conquer it. So this is it's called qualify and conquer. So you want to qualify the content piece to make sure it's something you can possibly have a high statistical probability of ranking for, and this is how to conquer it by writing it, right? So, but like I said, it's kind of jumbled up, and if you want me to go through all this stuff, let me know. I can definitely do it, but it would take me 2 hours to go through all that stuff. No big deal, but they kind of gave you a general idea. Mortgage calculators are good, but if you did a mortgage calculator, you do like mortgage calculator Houston, Texas, right? I make so many notes, I don't even remember what this is. Oh, just real estate blog ideas, right? So you can just go. I'm sure you go to real estate conferences, or if not, the websites of them. What are the presentations they're doing that year? Those are new topics you could write about. So these are all good, maybe not. These are decent content ideas, and you can just qualify them like I showed you previously. So that's that. So metadata is really good. So really important. So what metadata is, schema. So metadata is like, let me show you this. So this is like your meta title. This is the meta description. So you want to make sure you have all these filled out. Basically, don't need to get too much into that because you can't do it right now. I don't believe, because you don't own the domain. Schema, don't think you can do it either. But what schema is you want to put schema on your website. It helps Google get a better understanding. Let me just close this, as to what these pages are about. So you'd want to configure schema, and if you made a WordPress site, you could do all this with plugins pretty easily. If not, you'd have to code it with. Let me do this. Let me check this real quick. Built with. I just want to see what your website is built on, whether it's WordPress or Shopify, or I doubt it's Shopify. And my website, I don't know why my computer's so slow, but let's have a look. Okay, let me pause it real quick. Okay, I just did it for the realty.com, and you can see your global site tag. These are all the technologies behind the website. So using Cloudflare, which is good. That's a CDN, which helps speed things up. So e-commerce, so you do have a cart, interesting. CloudFront, interesting. Inside real estate, okay, so that's like metrics, I guess. Trying to see. There's a lot of Cloudflare stuff, isn't there? Okay, so it's probably maybe a hand-coded website. I would use WordPress. It's maybe a little bit slower, but it's something it's just easier to manage. So where was I at? Okay, so schema. So this is important. So what you would want to do on your own website for schema, you'd want to say schema. This web page here, or this website, is a website for a real estate agent. For all of your listings, let's just go back to the home page. And also, I would fix this heading. Google looks at all this stuff, so you can't. The coloring's all messed up. So that's something I would get fixed. So For example, this, and these are just a couple of examples of a schema, of schema types. So you'd want to, in the schema type, say, okay, Google, this is an actual property listing. The price of it is whatever, the 1.2 million. And there's all kinds of specific fields. Let me show you schema. Schema sites, web pages with schema will rank higher. It's just the research does show that. Okay, let me turn these back off because it slows things down. Not that. I'm going to turn this off, and I'll deal with Uber suggest later. What was I doing? Structured data. I wanted to go to schema.org actually. Here we go. Real estate listing. So you can see lease length, last reviewed, speakable. That's okay. That's voice stuff. You're not gonna do all these. There's probably 5 or 10 of these that are important. If you have an expires date, that's really not that good. Offers. So you get the idea. I mean, this sounds overwhelming, but there's templates that can. The main thing is like saying it's a property type, it's a house, this is the address, this is the price, and whatever. So that schema is really important. So that's something you'd need to look into do, but you can't do it now. Performance. Your website performance looks really good, but again, there's nothing. So Google uses something called Core Web Vitals, which are these 3 metrics here. That's how it's now determining how your website performs. You're really good. You're all green, which is very unusual. So whoever's doing your website performance is good, so there's nothing you can improve upon there. If you're using WordPress, that's something you would have to optimize. Not a big deal, but it's something you definitely want to do. So these are the loading times of all the objects on your page. So this CSS takes 0.2 seconds to load, etc., etc. The problem is when these lines get real long. So you're good there. Nothing you can do there. So let me close all these to the right. Say we're on page 2 of 6, and it goes a lot quicker as we move along. So Screaming Frog, again, nothing I can check. So you can see I scanned your web page, and there's nothing I can really look at. So if you go to like, so this is a spider. This is kind of what a search engine does. It spiders the website looking for the pages on it, and it analyzes all the pages. So you can see it found Cyberwalker, cyberwalker.com, and all of these product pages, right? So what you can do with this is you can see response codes. Are there redirects? How many how many, let me find it where client error 404, meaning how many links are broken, because you don't want to have broken links on your web page. This all affects your search results. Page titles, right? Are the page titles real short? If they're real short, you want to lengthen them because you want to use the space Google gives you to write good page titles. Are there duplicate page titles? That could confuse Google. Meta descriptions. Are there blank meta description? And here, some of these are like categories, so you don't really need to worry about it. But you want to look at the meta descriptions. Are they accurate? Look at the H1s, the H2s, the images. Are all the images optimized? Because large images can really slow things down. Wow, this one is 4.1 meg. This is a website that I have like crafts where I sell like Willy Wonka like gobstoppers and all kinds of crazy stuff, things I've made over the years. So that's why I'm using this as an example. But I just noticed this is a very large image. So I need to optimize that. Okay. So there's all kinds of stuff we can look at. It's basically doing an on-page audit of your website, but we can't do it because there's nothing to index, right? So this is the stuff I'd really be focusing on. Social media is important. Just let me point this out on your website. LinkedIn works. Yeah, I don't know why my browser's so slow. Okay. LinkedIn profile works. That's good. And this goes back to that expertise, authority, trust stuff, right? Let me get a sip of water. So the more content you can put here, the better. The more like connections you can make, the better. That's not a huge deal, but just giving you an idea of an understanding. But this is the problem. your Facebook profile doesn't load. At least it doesn't for me. So that's just something you want to fix. So what this means is the more you're active on social media, it appears to be a signal just by being active on social media. Google tends to like that. Not a huge signal, we don't think, but it tends to be important. The thing is, you don't want to just post to post, right? You don't want to. With you, the best thing to do would be to post listings probably, and I would do listings and I would do screenshots of customer reviews. Those would be the two things I'd focus on. You can post memes or memes or whatever every so often, but you don't want to post 8 times a day because that drives people crazy. They're gonna tune you out, and it just looks like overkill, right? TikTok, just Google TikTok real estate agents. There's all kinds of techniques. There's a lot of people on TikTok that are real estate agents, which say, I've watched them. I have no idea what they're talking about because I'm not smart enough, but this is how I took $1,000 and bought a property and took out a loan and tax credits, blah, 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 and made lots of money. So that's more of real estate investing, but that's the kind of stuff that's going to increase your expertise, authority, trust. That's going to make people familiar with your face as well. It's like free advertising. Facebook groups are really good. YouTube. I think this is a link I put to that same guy again. I can't remember. Oh, this is...
In this video, I'm going to share with you a step-by-step tutorial for how to upload video.
Let me pause this. Okay, this guy's really good.
On YouTube. So by the end...
He's one of the few SEO people I follow on YouTube. I just try to follow 3 or 4 because it gets overwhelming. Uploading videos to YouTube is it's not as easy as uploading it, clicking next. There's a lot of things you need to configure, and this shows you how to do it. YouTube is really good because it's kind of like TikTok. So to get those content ideas, you show it. We do it how we do what we did for the content previously, and you can also do not real content, real estate, and see what's popping up. Investing, agent, photography. So let's just do agent. See what else. Tips, training. Okay, tips. So which ones are getting a lot of views? And I can guarantee you most of these people are real estate agents themselves. That's why they do this. It's brand exposure. Well, I guess you're not I guess you kind of are. Well, everybody's their own brand. You know what I mean? But you're not selling Walkmans. I guess Walkmans aren't even a thing anymore. You're not selling laptops or energy drinks, right? But it increases your web footprint, it increases your presence, increases your expertise, authority, trust, etc., etc., etc. So this is all good stuff. Never use more than 5 hashtags. I try to use less than 3 hashtags, 3 or less hashtags. And then what are your competitors doing? When you're trying to find out what to do, you always want to look at your competitors. In this case, the competitors you gave me, there's not much to decipher here because they're just such huge companies. There's nothing really you can do, as I said. If you do decide to create your own web page, go look at the web pages of... If you search for real estate agent Houston, go look at those top 3 web pages and see what they're writing about. What keywords are they using? Are they using a lot of video, a lot of media, et cetera, et cetera? And you just want to mimic the top results because Google, you don't want to copy, not word for word at all, but you want to make sure you're using the same elements, the same overall look and feel of those top ranking websites. And you can monitor your brand. And again, you're not a brand per se, using a tool called Hootsuite. If you want more details on all this stuff, I can do it. So Ahrefs, like I said, it's expensive, but you can just use it for a month. You can do a data dump if you want. But there's nothing you can do right now because, whoops. Or the data, I shouldn't say the data is not going to be useful to you right now because there's not much you can do with it. So Site Explorer, so like I said, now this site doesn't get a lot of traffic, so probably not going to be a lot here. Let me see, I made some other notes. Okay, yeah, so let's let that load. So what you can do is go to like your top pages once you get a lot of good content built up. Now, let me go to another. I also have a blog that's like, let me just show you real quick. I don't really keep up with it anymore either, just because I am so busy. It's just like random, silly questions. So you can kind of get an idea of what it looks like, right? Who was General Sun? Why is the chicken named after him? Do fish sleep? Why is it called Wall Street? Etc. Etc. So you can kind of get the idea. So if I go here, interesting answers.com. So what I would do, and you can see the traffic's pretty steady because I used to post like once a week. Now I only post like once every few months just because I don't have a lot of time. So top pages. So what you'd want to do, you want to see what your top, let's go to keywords. I'm sorry. Let's go to keywords. So these are the keywords I'm ranking high for. If it ever loads. How many songs did Elvis record? So you can see the Elvis one is I get a lot of traffic on that. Well, relative, so, to the other posts. How much is 39 grams of sugar? What is uncured hemp? So these are ones I'm ranking high for. What I want to do is look at the ones I'm ranking like position 5 for 10 for in Google search results, because these are things that I'm not near the top of the search results yet, but these are things I could improve upon. And you can do this by pointing links to the content you want to emphasize, by including better keyword structure, writing better content, longer content, including media, all kinds of stuff. So you can see, so these are the ones I could hopefully get up to position 5 or 10. So this is position 5 to 10 in the Google search results, right? So there's all kinds of stuff you can do there. Let me see what else. Another note I made. Yeah, so check what are your competitors doing, and not just your competitors in Houston. I also like to check the top results in 3 markets: Los Angeles, Chicago, New York, because those people obviously spend a lot of money on this stuff, and you want to see what they're doing. You can use Content Explorer to find content ideas. Not going to spend any time at all on this, but you can go through it if you want. It's kind of the same thing. That's what I just did above. Went over this, length of traffic. So this is the beauty of Ahrefs. You could do it. So let's say Interesting Answers was a competitor of mine. I could see what their top pages are, and the top page is how many teaspoons of sugar is in a can of Coke. So let's go to it. So if I don't have this content piece, this is a content piece I would want to write. I don't know why it's so slow. This is crazy. So I just basically took a picture. That's how much sugar is in a can of a Coke, by the way. Isn't that crazy? Anyway. So if I don't have this content piece, this is something I would want to write. I would go back up to here to Page Optimizer Pro. Keywords that I also could include. I would go to SEO Quake, go to Page Info, the meta description, sugar grams, teaspoons, Coke, fruit. Okay, I'd want to make sure I include fruit. I don't know why fruit's in there. That's kind of weird. I don't remember putting that. Grams, well, obviously. None of these are that good, actually. But I want to look at how long is it, right? I want mine to be about this long, or perhaps a little bit longer. How do we get rid of this? Okay. And pay attention to the external links. Google likes external links. The reason I put these links here is it shows Google that I'm a part of the web and I want to help people get from place to place. And you want to make sure you link to reputable sources. So most of mine link to Wikipedia, or like company websites. You can see Wikipedia. This is, I can't read it because my vision's horrible. If you look at the bottom, Unlock Food California. That's how to read nutrition labels, etc., etc. Right? So it's really powerful. You can spy on your competition. You can even spy. I'm not doing any ads. So let me just go back to, if you were considering advertising. Let's load IBM.com up. So let's say IBM is one of your competitors, and they're using Google advertising. And I can help you with the Google advertising. I'm not an expert in it, but I probably know 80% of what total experts do. Where they move okay, ads. So you can see what advertisements they're running. And whichever ones they're running that are working, you want to mimic those advertisements, because why would they be spending money on ads that aren't working? So you can see this is the actual ad, right? So if you're doing a blockchain technology something, and it's probably longer than that, let's go to ads. I may have just clicked on that. Okay. Okay, so hopefully you get the idea, right? That's an entire other topic. But I just want to give you some ideas of things that you can focus on. And you can look at their keywords too. Let's just do one more thing. A lot of this looks like a lot of stuff. I only use, just like everything in life is 80-20. I use 80%, 20% of these features to do 80% of my work. So you can also look at the top pages, but we can also look at their top keywords. And you can also do what's called a content gap. I think it's called content gap analysis. Put your top 5 competitors in there. What are the keywords all of your competitors are doing that you're not doing? And those are things you want to focus on. And this is where you would do that content gap analysis. Slow, slow, slow. Okay, so IBM Careers, One Piece Stampede full movie. That is strange. I bet they got their website hacked and somebody put that. Let me pause it real quick. Very interesting. I paused it so I could kind of look around at what this was out of curiosity. It looks like probably an employee put this on there and didn't know about it, and it got Google picked it up, but it's removed. So if you were competing with IBM, SPSS, okay, that's pretty obscure. That's something I want to write about, right? So that's that. Yeah, you want to make sure, like I did mention this, you want to, it's called siloing site structure, this type of thing. You want to make sure you're linking you want to link from page to page to page. So let's say you have a page on top 10 real estate ideas, something like that. And let's say you mention curtains. This is a horrible example, but let's give you the idea. And let's say you have another blog post on curtains. You'd want to make sure you'd link to that page from your other page. It's helping Google understand these relationships between these pages. And your top performing pages, you want to link to those as much as possible. Because you're telling Google these are the important pages, or I should say the pages you want the traffic to go to. You want to link to those as much as possible from other pages on your website. So backlinks, I want to kind of show you what backlinks are. They're really important. These are just ways to get backlinks. I could go over. These are really good. It's time consuming. I don't really honestly focus on backlinks anymore just because it's really, really time consuming. You can buy backlinks, but Google doesn't like it. So if you go to Fiverr and it says like buy backlinks and they'll sell you 1,000 backlinks for $10, that's not good. Google's going to detect that that's spam, and it's probably it's not gonna work. It may not hurt you, but it's not gonna work. You can buy backlinks from reputable sources, but they can cost hundreds or thousands of dollars. Just not worth it. What I like to say is the best way to get backlinks is create content that people want to share. Now the obvious easy ones are, links to your other profiles on LinkedIn and all the other directory sites, like, I don't know if, I guess real estate's not on Yelp, but yellowpages.com, etc., etc. Sites that have shared your content in the past, which you can find in Ahrefs. Anytime somebody's mentioned your brand, or your name in this case, and hasn't linked from your name, you could ask them. And let me pause it real quick. Okay, these are also fairly easy ones to get. Trade organizations, sponsoring, food drives, food collections, any business relationships you have, maybe with insurance companies, things like that, donations, scholarship, local blogs. So if there's somebody has a Houston food blog, something kind of very niche, you could reach out to them and say, hey, like your blog, would you be willing? I'll pay you $50 a year if I can put a little link on your website, right? And you may not get a lot of traffic from that, but it's a backlink, right? And he's generally not going to Google's not going to really know it's an ad. It may, right? But it's an easy backlinking opportunity, and it's just a little bit more exposure. Another way is Texas Real Estate Agent Directory. So what directories can you be in? Are you in HAR, which you are? Real estate agent, are you there? Texas real estate, are you there? Et cetera, et cetera. So these are called citation sources. Citation sources, right? That's that. Google Alerts, I would set up a Google Alert for your name. If it's mentioned anywhere on the web, you want to know about it. Because what if somebody's talking negative about you or your brand? That's what that is. Oh, to find the blogs, you could just do a Houston, Texas blog, or Texas blog, or Clear Lake blog. It's Houston. This is probably a bigger blog. Oh, this is a directory. So visit Houston blog. So this is probably this. I would guess this is probably maybe like a government blog. Let's just go to one of them. That's not that good. Diamond Exchange, Grant Limousine. So these aren't that good. Houston Texans community. Okay, that's, it's Houston, even though they are not good this year. This is definitely horrible website design. Um, but you get these are the kind of people you could reach out to. Podcasts. Podcasts are a really good way. Also, Help a Reporter Out, which is Harrow. There's always journalists looking for experts in fields to help them write articles. These are people from CNN, Fox News, very local newspapers, everything, the blogs, everything. And if you can help them write an article, like because you're an experienced real estate agent, you probably have expertise. Maybe you have a certain process that you do, and you can get mentioned in one of those. That'd be huge. If you have a unique process, there's tons of real estate podcasts, right? Even like entrepreneur podcasts. There's like you could reach out to them and share why you think their listeners would find you interesting. And if you do really have something of value to offer, which hopefully you do, let me go back here. I thought there was a process in here. So there's not really a process, but if you have something that you could offer, maybe you have a detailed guide, like I showed you PacWest Real Estate in Oregon. She has a book actually on the real estate statistical trends. I don't remember the exact name, but in Oregon, right? So that's something you could write. If you could write something like that, and you could go on a podcast and talk about real estate trends in Houston or Texas or whatever. That's something you could do. Okay, 56 minutes. Moving along. So local SEO. So there's Google My Business, there's Bing Places, there's Apple Maps, whatever it's called. So you want to make sure you're in all of these sources, not just Google My Business. So it's called Google Business Profile now. So here, it was Google My Business up until 2 months ago or something. So this is where you have a problem. First thing you want to do is you want to make sure you come here and make sure there's nothing you need to act on, or if there's any new features. Okay, look, they're rolling out this new feature, preview call history, so you need to make sure you're aware of it. They put a lot of COVID stuff on here. You still need to finish your profile, so I just come to this page once a week, once every 2 weeks, and just make sure there's nothing new that I need to do. So posts, these are, I would do what you're doing with the reviews. I also would include, you definitely want to put blog content here and link back to your blog post. I would put your new real estate listings on here as well. Now, if you have 10 new listings a day, that's going to be crazy. But if if you have 10, maybe you can just do 1 or 2, something like that. At a minimum, it's a signal to Google that you're using the product and you care and you're involved, right? So info, this is where, so insights, I'll show you about that. Let me go to info real quick. This location is updated information. Google uses other sources, review the published, make sure they're accurate. Okay, so there's an update that you need to verify, which is, it's not good that you haven't. Google can penalize you if you're not using your actual business name on your what's posted outside of your business. I think you're okay though, because you're an agent, so this is pretty good. Just be careful with it. Real estate consultant. So the problem here, not the problem, but let me go to, so again, you want to make sure you're doing what other people that are ranking high in Google Maps are doing. So if you go to Google Maps, this is an extension called Plepper, P-L-E-P-E-R. There's just GMB Spy. I have videos on all this stuff too. If you want the videos, let me know. So I could switch location to do it from Houston, like I'm in Houston. But you can see the categories for these top results are real estate agency, real estate agents, real estate consultant, commercial real estate agency, real estate rental agency. If you go to yours, you have real estate consultant, but why not add those other top ranking ones? Now you don't want to do more than 5, but you could do, real estate. So you have consultant, agency, whichever ones that are also ranking for. I would put those there. So that's that. Service areas. I'd want to figure out why this got marked out. So this, I would go to Google My Business message forums and find out why this has something to do with this. So click learn more, find out why this is X'd out. That's interesting. But you have your service areas, which is set up, which is good. Make sure your hours are accurate, closed. Get rid of these old hours. They don't matter. Just set a reminder up once every 2 months or 3 months to go, calendar reminder, to go look at your hours and make sure they're up to date. Phone number, make sure that's accurate. Now, wherever you mention your business on the directory, whether it's like realtors.com or Zillow.com or all these websites, you want it to match exactly. You want it to be this exact business name. So Google knows with 100% certainty that it's providing the correct business name, the exact hours, the exact phone number, the exact address, etc., etc. That's that. But do you have an appointment link? You'd want to put that here. Now this is the big problem you have. These are your services, right? The problem is you want to have, so if you have Vietnamese realtor on, and that's a really good niche. I really do like that. You'd want to have a page for each one of your services you offer, right? You want to map them. So if you have Vietnamese Houston realtor, and this is kind of some overlap, you might want to, yeah, I'd have to think through that. But the bottom line is you need to have dedicated, like called landing pages, dedicated pages for these, and your service description. You need to make sure you use keywords in these service descriptions, and this should match what's on your website, but you can't do it, right? So that's a big problem. But let's continue. Hey, don't worry about this. It's pretty annoying. Nobody uses it. Okay, photos. Photos are really good. I would add the photos to the properties. I would add videos. So I would now this is again, these are 8,000 different things. There's no way you could do all this stuff. But while you're at a property, it wouldn't hurt if you're the one posting the properties on the website, which even if not, it'd be nice to go back and get permission to update things. And even if you're not, you could get the photos from the listings themselves and put those here. So if you can post like once a week, even like once every 2 weeks, again, it's a signal to Google that you're involved and you care about your website, care about your business. See, these are all 2019, 2020, so you want to keep those more up to date. Calls. That's actually new. I didn't even know that existed. Messages. So you want to make sure that you have messages enabled. This will allow people to message you from your Google My Business listing or Google Business Profile Manager listing. I can't get used to saying that. Photos, products. You really don't have any products. I feel like I'm missing something. And I can, there's tons of it. I don't have a video on Google My Business specifically. I can show you tons on how to configure this, how to optimize it. But the problem with this is you can't mimic it to your website, which is a really big thing to do, reviews. So the best thing you can do right now is to start getting a lot more reviews. It's a huge ranking signal, and how to do that is simply just ask, right? And let me just show you. So you have 10 weeks ago. Let's see, that's not, I don't know how often you sell houses. Maybe you haven't got one in 10 weeks, but you need to have as many of these as possible. And it's really good that you respond to them. However, the responses, I like to make them more personal. Like, so let's say you form a decent relationship with these people, right? So let's just do Laura Hune. I'll just say Laura because I'm not sure how to pronounce that last name. Laura Hune. So you said, thank you so much, Laura. We appreciate you being patient. I would say, thank you so much, Laura. I hope you and Joe, like her husband, enjoy the house and enjoy the Houston Cougars football game or something y'all have talked about, because that's really going to show people, most people read reviews. That's really going to show people that you're into your clients. It would to me. And that's the kind of stuff that helps. So how you get reviews is simply you got to ask, and basically you email them or text message them and say, please leave me, and you create a link, and I can show you how to do this, a link directly to where they need to leave the review. I do Google for all of them, and I will also do a second one, whether it's Facebook, and then if I don't need any on Facebook, I'll switch to Yelp, or whatever. Then I'll switch to realtor.com, wherever I need them, but I'll always do Google. And ask them to leave a review. Send them. You want to do this before the house starts breaking down, obviously, assuming it hopefully won't. But if it does, you want to make sure that maybe like a week after they move in. So do it a week, and then if they don't respond, do a follow up maybe a week later. If they don't respond, I like to do 2 and leave it at that. If they don't respond, some people wait a month and do it again. But these reviews are really, really important. And then make your responses much more personalized. Yeah, that's not. And this is just, you're going to get these weird ones, and Google's really not going to penalize you for it. You just want to aim for over like a 4.2, and it looks like you're doing pretty good there. So, okay, so these are 200 citation sources. So these are easy backlinking opportunities. And you don't want to be in all these. It's just too much. But the ones that are relevant, Foursquare, you probably want to be in Business Journal, you want to be in Better Business Bureau, but you're not your own company. So this isn't relevant for you. But maybe Patch, I'm not sure what Patch is. I'd be in MapQuest, maybe, so you just need to go through these. I thought that was more of a realtor. Let's see. I put this link in here. And remember, when you do these, I can never spell realtor. I think that's right. You need everything to be 100% consistent. Web page, business name, phone number, etc., etc. So these are citation sources. This is a perfect example of creating content to drive traffic to your website, which is going to help Bright Local sell their SEO tool, which is a really good tool. Probably the best local SEO tool. So Facebook, Yelp, local Yahoo, Superpay. These aren't actually. Okay, here we go. Yeah. So are you in these? Zillow, real estate? If applicable, it may not be applicable to you, but you want to probably pick off the top 10. Home Finder, blah, blah, blah. So that's what that is. So other observations, the link to Facebook doesn't work, which I showed you. A big thing that a lot of my clients are doing now is bonuses are giving away something. And you would put this on your homepage. Meet with me and I'll give you a free tablet. I don't know what your finances are like, if that's possible, like if that's something you could afford, and just get like a $40 Amazon Kindle tablet off of Amazon, obviously. Or, just meet with me. I don't know the exact wording to use right now because after I talk for a while, my brain kind of gets weird. Set up an appointment and you'll get a no questions asked $25 gift card. That really drives a lot of business. Really drives a lot of business. And if the people are anything like me, I'm generally going to go with the first person I talk to because I'm comfortable with them. I don't like going and talking to people and like comparing agent 1 to agent 2. If I go to you and I'm comfortable with you, I'm going to do business with you. That's just the way I work. And that's how a lot of people are too. Focus on terms of what makes you different. So another thing you can't do is it's really effective to have a why me up here. So it's good that you describe who you are, and you definitely have a lot of qualifications, being cum laude and all this stuff. But you need to have, so this is who, but not why. You need to have a why us section, why me section up here. Or if at all possible, put it in here somewhere, because you really want to sell yourself, and you need to emphasize on what makes you different from other realtors. And that's why I asked this. Boom, boom, boom. Now these are so highly rated realtor where? Are you a 5-star on realtor.com or whatever? You need to get into more detail about this. This I think this is probably this is very niche, and I think that's really good. Because if I was looking for a real estate agent as a non-Vietnamese person and it said Vietnamese realtor, that wouldn't turn me off in any way. But if I was so that's good. You're not like turning people away. But if I was a Vietnamese person and I saw Vietnamese real estate person, I would probably be more prone to call you, right? So I think that's a really effective, good marketing thing. But hopefully there's even some more things you could, because everybody can say experienced broker, anybody can say commercial broker. Well, actually, not everybody can say that. I shouldn't say everybody, but I guess everybody can use the buzzwords. Is there any type of specific service? I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong place. That's not what that's. This right here. This is the kind of stuff. Yeah, sorry, totally went to the wrong place. This is the kind of stuff we should focus on. This is the kind of stuff you want to include on the top of your webpage. If this is what makes you different, if this is what makes you set yourself apart from everybody else, this is the stuff you want to put in the Why Me section, and this is stuff you want to emphasize on the main page. So try to above the fold. So what above the fold is if you go here, above the fold is what people see before scrolling down. So this is, let's say I really want to direct people to, are there grapes and grape nuts, which there aren't, oddly enough. That's what I would put up top. Now you're not going to be able to fit all that in, so at least may not put it above the fold, but maybe one scroll down, like here. You don't want to bury it, your main selling points at the bottom, and you don't want to bury it in just a Why Me section up here, right? Hour and 10 minutes. Okay, moving along. Okay, ads. If you get into Google Ads, contact me. Even if you don't want to hire me, which I actually don't have a lot of time to help anybody with, or to take on clients with Google Ads right now, but I want to point you in the right direction. There's a lot of people waste a lot of money doing it, so I can, if you want me to get into more detail on that, I can. So you know what you're doing. This isn't SEO related, but it's such a simple thing. You have a mailing list of all your clients. Asking once a year, actually in your case, annual wouldn't make sense because you do business once and that's pretty much it. I would just send them a survey. A lot of businesses do like 30 question surveys and people just go, no, this is ridiculous. What really matters is, what do I do good? What would you change about me? And what's my overall rating? This is just good information to have as an entrepreneur, as a business person. This is something I definitely would do. And a lot of times you can incorporate this back into your website. Like, what do we do good? That's something you could, once you find that stuff out, maybe something you never thought about, that's something you could include in my Why Us section and on my webpage, right? What would you change? And this is obviously things you can work on. I mean, it's just kind of common sense, but a lot of people don't take the time to do this stuff, but it's really important. Okay, that's that right there. Went over that. Are you featured in anything? A lot of real estate sites say like featured in Houston Magazine or featured on CNN.com. Are you featured in any of those? You want to link to those. So Google Analytics is, and this is the plugin you can use in WordPress to look at it. Google Analytics is just Google's platform for viewing the analytics, the traffic to your website. So Google Search Console shows you the keywords. Analytics shows you more of the metrics, like where are they coming from? Like, are they male or female? How many clicks? All that kind of stuff. Google Search Console is specific to search. The traffic you're getting by clicks and search. Google Analytics is people that are coming to your page, even if it doesn't include search, right? Google Search Console, we went over that. Then don't forget about Bing and other international search engines. You might be thinking, well, that's kind of stupid because nobody in China is going to contact me about real estate in Houston or in Russia. Now, there might be some Chinese businessman, or Russian businessman that might contact you, but the main reason here is that there's going to be people that do it, that search for a content feature, and they're gonna read your content, and that's one more click to your website, which is beneficial. If you want to subscribe to one newsletter to keep up with stuff, subscribe to SEO Roundtable. It's a really good daily newsletter that summarizes SEO stuff from around the web once a day. Rather than subscribing to 80,000 different email newsletters, this is the best one to do. I would follow these Twitter accounts, and I get alerts from these three. These are the only 3 Twitter accounts I get alerts for SEO purposes, and then track things using my spreadsheet. So I'm sending this to you, and you could pay hundreds or thousands of dollars for tracking tools, but they actually aren't that good. Just use an ugly spreadsheet like this. So once a month, you just want to come here and go, what is my SimilarWeb ranking? Is it getting better? So is the work I'm putting in making any difference? What's my Alexa ranking? How many users is Google Analytics showing? Are they increasing? Now, they may decrease for a couple months and then go back up for 2 months, then decrease for 3 months. But as long as the trend every 6 months is 3 or 4, 5, 6 months is going in the right direction. Google Analytics, Google Search Console. How many impressions? How many people are clicking on my search results in Google Search Console? So there's all kinds of stuff. This is Bing, so that's Microsoft search engine. And you click on it, and this is where you go get the metric. This is web performance stuff. And this is Google My Business stuff. And to get the Google My Business metrics, you go here. Insights. So you can see how many people, how many times were you listed on search, listed on Google Maps, visits to your website, how many people called you, etc., etc. So that's what you want to do there. So thank you. Well, I should say thank you, and hopefully you found this useful. I like I said, I wish I could give you the as somebody who's been doing this for a long time, there's really not much you can do on page to improve things because you have such a limited platform to work with. But hopefully I gave you some really good information on moving forward, what your options could be. If you want, I mean, if I have let me make sure I include this. Let me make sure I include this. Give me 1 second. Let me pause it real quick. Okay, so this is when I work with clients. This is what I do month 1, month 2. Now with yours, the first month would be set up website, something like that, right? And these are, the service. This is what I do month 1, month 2. Month generally takes, generally takes longer than 6 months just because things fall behind. But this is basically a 6-month plan, and I'm giving you this so you don't have to hire me. Like I honestly don't even have a lot of time, but this is exactly what I do. So I'm giving you exactly what I do. So this is the plan I would follow if you're interested in something like this. If you're interested in doing it, this is the exact process I use with my clients. So it's something and it's the version's 2.5. So hopefully this helps. A review is greatly appreciated. I would ask, and certainly you can leave a negative review, and I can't ask you for a positive review, but if you're going to leave, if you are thinking about leaving a negative review, I would just hope that if there's anything I haven't before doing so, if there's anything I haven't answered, just let me know and I'll answer it for you. And I'm always here for questions, like I said, whether it's tomorrow, whether it's 3 months down the road, 6 months down the road, two months down the road. It's no big deal. And if there's anything specific I can help you with, let me know. I can refer you to the website guy if you want to do a WordPress site. That would be my next step. And then so that's it. Hopefully things are okay in Houston, Texas, where I was born. In Pasadena, Texas, actually. So let me know if you have any questions, and thank you. And that review is greatly appreciated. See you.